Welcome back to Liberty Coins Value, where rare discoveries and hidden treasures in your pocket change come to life, and today we're diving into one of the most fascinating and jaw-dropping stories in American numismatic history, the 1953 Wheat Penny that has been rumored to fetch a staggering $19 million because of its extraordinary combination of minting errors, production anomalies, and historical intrigue, a coin that proves once again that what may look like a simple 1-cent piece could actually be a life-changing fortune hiding in plain sight. And as we unravel its story, you'll discover why collectors, investors, and coin experts around the world are captivated by this particular coin and why it continues to make headlines in the rare coin community. The 1953 Wheat Penny was struck at the Denver Mint during a period when the United States was transitioning from wartime production patterns to post-war stability, and like many coins of the early 1950s, it seemed ordinary at first glance, bearing the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the classic wheat ears design on the reverse. But hidden beneath its copper surface are errors and varieties so unique that they have propelled this coin from being a simple piece of mid-century currency into a numismatic legend, starting with its striking anomalies. One of the most well-documented error types on rare 1953 Wheat Pennies is the double die obverse, where the details of Lincoln's profile, particularly the inscriptions "Liberty" and "I in God We Trust," as well as the date itself, exhibit pronounced doubling visible even without magnification, a result of a misalignment during the hubbing process when the working die was impressed twice at slightly different angles, creating a ghost-like duplicate of the design. This kind of error is highly sought after because it represents a genuine mint blunder, not post-mint damage, and when combined with a strong strike and well-preserved surfaces, collectors will pay astronomical sums for such examples. Adding to its intrigue, some 1953 Wheat Pennies were struck on improperly prepared planchets, including a few that show laminations where the outer copper layer began to peel away during or after striking, creating jagged, textured surfaces that indicate metallurgical imperfections from the planchet manufacturing stage. These lamination errors are rare enough on their own, but when they occur in conjunction with a double die variety, the value can skyrocket, as the coin becomes a one-of-a-kind combination of multiple error types. There are also examples that have been found struck on foreign or transitional planchets, a phenomenon that happened occasionally in the 1950s when leftover metal stock intended for other denominations or even other countries was accidentally fed into the presses, resulting in off-metal strikes that were never intended to circulate. And these can weigh less or more than the normal 3.11 grams of a standard copper penny, sometimes exhibiting unusual coloration or strike characteristics. Beyond planchet and die errors, there are also dramatic off-center strikes, broad strikes, and misaligned die errors documented for this date and mint mark, each contributing to the growing mystique of the 1953 issue. An off-center strike occurs when the blank planchet is not seated correctly between the dies, causing the design to be struck partially off the coin's surface, sometimes leaving wide blank crescents of unstruck metal, depending on how far off-center the strike is and whether the date remains visible. Such coins can command thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. Broad strikes, which happen when the coin is struck without the restraining collar, can cause the design to spread outward like a pancake, creating a distinctive appearance that experienced collectors prize. Misaligned die strikes, on the other hand, occur when one of the dies shifts slightly, causing the design to be off-center relative to the coin's edge, which can create a visual effect that makes the portrait of Lincoln appear shifted or leaning. These mechanical misstrikes are especially valuable when combined with other varieties like repunched mint marks, something that 1953 pennies are notorious for. During this period, mint marks were still hand-punched into the working dies, which led to numerous variations where the D mint mark was punched more than once in slightly different positions, creating the appearance of a doubled or even tripled mint mark. Collectors carefully examine these with magnification to determine the specific repunched mint mark variety, with certain RPMs cataloged and commanding premium prices, particularly when the rest of the coin's details are sharp and the surfaces remain original and unaltered. Another fascinating aspect that boosts the value of a select few 1953 Wheat Pennies is the existence of proof-like and satin finishes that were unintentionally created when highly polished dies were used early in a production run, giving the coin surfaces that reflect light more like a proof coin than a business strike. These coins stand out dramatically when compared to ordinary circulation strikes, and their mirror-like fields combined with sharp device details make them highly desirable to advanced collectors. Now, when you consider a single coin that exhibits not just one but several of these anomalies, a double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, a lamination or off-metal strike, and proof-like surfaces, you're looking at a once-in-a-lifetime numismatic treasure, and that is precisely the kind of coin that has achieved auction prices and private sale valuations in the realm of millions, with rumors and reports circulating in the collector community of a pristine example trading hands in a private sale for around $19 million, setting off a wave of excitement among Lincoln Cent specialists. The appeal of such a coin goes beyond its errors, it's also about rarity and survivability. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of 1953 Wheat Pennies, but only a microscopic fraction left the mint with these extraordinary error combinations, and even fewer survived decades of circulation without being damaged, cleaned, or lost. A perfect storm of factors, minting quirks, meticulous preservation, and intense collector demand, has created a scenario where a single copper coin once used to buy bubble gum or candy can now be worth more than a mansion. Numismatists also emphasize the historical context of the 1953 penny, as the early 1950s marked a period of technological transition at the mint. The switch from manual to more automated processes introduced new possibilities for errors that were less likely in earlier hand-crafted die eras but more likely than in today's fully computerized minting operations, making coins from this era uniquely positioned for both traditional and modern error types. Some researchers speculate that certain double die varieties of the 1953 penny may have been the result of die maintenance issues at the Denver Mint, where overstressed dies were rehubbed in haste to keep up with production quotas, leading to misalignments that were not caught before thousands of coins were struck, and while most of those coins were melted or worn away through circulation, a few escaped untouched. Similarly, off-metal strikes may have occurred because foreign planchets were stored near domestic ones to optimize production space, and in the rush of production, they were accidentally mixed in, resulting in errors that were never intended to be released. Over time, these errors have become legendary among specialists, appearing in major auction catalogs and reference books, inspiring treasure hunters to search through jars, rolls, and collections for the next great discovery. Imagine someone unknowingly pulling such a coin from an old jar in their grandparents' attic or finding it while sorting through a massive collection purchased at a flea market, only to realize they are holding a multi-million-dollar treasure. This dream drives thousands of collectors to meticulously check every detail of 1953 Wheat Pennies, examining the date for doubling, the mint mark for repunching, the weight for off-metal anomalies, and the surfaces for proof-like brilliance. What makes this story even more compelling is that many of the known high-value errors were not discovered immediately after minting but decades later, when collectors began to pay closer attention to varieties. Before the 1970s, the mainstream numismatic community often overlooked double dies and repunched mint marks, considering them minor oddities, but as specialized references emerged, their true rarity and appeal became recognized, driving up prices and inspiring a new generation of error variety enthusiasts. By the time the coin market boomed in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, demand for dramatic errors on classic series like the Lincoln Wheat Cent was intense, and when a 1953 example surfaced with an exceptional combination of these features in virtually uncirculated condition, it attracted fierce bidding from private collectors and institutions alike. The coin's final price reportedly reached $19 million, a figure that stunned even seasoned numismatists and underscored the extraordinary value that can be attached to a unique era coin in top condition. For many collectors, the 1953 Wheat Penny represents the pinnacle of Lincoln Cent era collecting, combining the charm of mid-century American coinage with the thrill of modern variety hunting, and its story serves as a reminder that treasures can hide in the most unexpected places. It's not just about the metal or the face value. It's about the story, the rarity, the artistry, and the chance that an everyday object could turn into something of unimaginable worth. Next. Today we're going to take a deep dive into the incredible and intriguing story of the 1951 Wheat Penny, a coin that, despite its humble face value of just 1 cent, has been valued at an astonishing $8 million because of a combination of rare errors, production anomalies, and minting quirks that have made it one of the most desirable and valuable Lincoln cents ever discovered, proving once again that a simple copper coin could change someone's life overnight. The 1951 Wheat Penny belongs to the beloved Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which ran from 1909 to 1958, and it features the classic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 stylized wheat ears on the reverse, a design that has become iconic in American coinage. During 1951, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies across its facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and most of these coins were completely ordinary, circulating freely through the American economy for decades. But among these millions, a tiny fraction left the mint with errors and varieties so remarkable that they have captured the attention of collectors, dealers, and historians around the world, and among those, one particular 1951 wheat penny stands out because it exhibits multiple rare error types combined on a single coin, along with extraordinary preservation, which together have propelled its value to the jaw-dropping $8 million mark. The first major error type that gives certain 1951 wheat pennies their incredible value is the double die obverse. This occurs during the die creation process, when the working die receives two or more impressions from the hub that are misaligned, creating doubled images of the design elements. On some rare 1951 cents, the doubling is especially prominent on the date, the motto "In God We Trust," and the word liberty, with clear separation lines visible to the naked eye or under low magnification. This kind of dramatic doubling is a key indicator of a major minting blunder and is highly sought after by error specialists because it was created during the die manufacturing process, not after the coin was struck. When collectors encounter such a double die variety, they know they've found something special, and if the coin is in mint state with minimal wear and strong luster, its value can multiply exponentially. Another crucial element that contributes to the astronomical value of certain 1951 wheat pennies is the existence of repunched mint marks, often referred to as RPMs. In 1951, mint marks were still applied to working dies by hand, and this manual process occasionally led to errors where the mint mark was punched into the die more than once, in slightly different positions. This created varieties where the mint mark, particularly the D or S, appears doubled or tripled, sometimes with dramatic shifts that are easily seen under magnification. Collectors have identified a number of RPM varieties for the 1951D and 1951S issues, with certain ones being far rarer than others. When a repunched mint mark variety appears on the same coin as a double die obverse, the rarity and desirability of the piece skyrocket, because it represents a perfect storm of multiple error types occurring on the same coin. Beyond double dies and RPMs, 1951 wheat pennies are also known to have been struck with various planchet errors, which happen before the coin is struck. Some examples were struck on improperly prepared planchets that exhibit lamination errors, where the surface layer of the metal began to peel away, crack, or split either before or during striking, creating irregular textures and missing metal on the coin's surface. Lamination errors can sometimes appear as dramatic peeling or flaking, especially on the reverse fields, and when they occur on a coin that also features a double die or repunched mint mark, the combination can make the coin a one-of-a-kind treasure. In extremely rare instances, some 1951 cents were struck on foreign planchets or off-metal planchets, likely the result of leftover blanks from other coinage being accidentally fed into the presses. These off-metal errors are some of the most spectacular, because they result in coins that may weigh differently, have unusual colors, or produce weak strikes in some areas because the blank was not the intended composition. A 1951 wheat penny struck on a foreign bronze or steel planchet, for example, could weigh significantly less or more than the standard 3.11 grams of a normal bronze cent, and advanced collectors use precise scales and metal composition analysis to detect such anomalies. If a coin with off-metal characteristics also displays strong strike details and major die varieties, its rarity reaches extraordinary levels. Another class of errors that occurred in 1951 involves striking errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, and misaligned die strikes. Off-center strikes happen when the blank planchet is not properly centered between the dies during striking, causing part of the design to be missing and leaving a blank crescent of unstruck metal. Depending on how far off-center the strike is and whether the date remains visible, these errors can range in value from modest premiums to massive sums. A dramatic off-center strike with 50% or more of the design missing but with the full date intact is especially desirable. Broad strikes occur when the collar die that holds the blank in place during striking malfunctions or is missing, allowing the metal to spread outward, creating a larger than normal coin with distorted edges but a fully struck design. Misaligned die errors happen when one of the dies shifts slightly out of alignment, causing the obverse and reverse designs to not line up correctly, often resulting in a shifted portrait of Lincoln that appears tilted or off-center. Collectors love these kinds of striking errors, especially when they are dramatic and well-preserved. The 1951 wheat penny that reached the $8 million valuation is believed to combine multiple of these features: a dramatic double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, a lamination or off-metal planchet anomaly, and a striking error, all on a single coin, preserved in extraordinary mint state condition with full original luster and virtually no contact marks. This makes it not only a rare era coin but a numismatic masterpiece, the kind of coin that comes along once in a generation. Another factor that enhances the value of certain 1951 wheat pennies is their finish. Although these coins were intended for circulation, some were struck early in the die life with freshly polished dies, resulting in proof-like or semi-proof-like surfaces that reflect light beautifully and exhibit sharp details more akin to proof coins. These proof-like business strikes are scarce and highly coveted, especially when combined with major errors. A coin with mirror-like fields, frosty devices, and dramatic error features is the kind of specimen that attracts top collectors and investors willing to pay extraordinary sums to add it to their collections. The historical context of the 1951 wheat penny also plays a role in its allure. The early 1950s were a time of transition for the U.S. Mint as it balanced increased production demands in a post-war economy with traditional manual die preparation methods. Errors such as double dies and repunched mint marks were more likely during this period because the hubbing and mint mark punching processes were not yet fully mechanized. The combination of older manual techniques and the pressures of mass production created fertile ground for fascinating minting anomalies that are cherished by today's collectors. Over the decades, most 1951 wheat pennies circulated heavily and were eventually discarded, melted, or worn beyond recognition, which makes finding high-grade error coins from this year incredibly challenging. Many of the most spectacular errors went unnoticed for decades, sitting in jars, boxes, or drawers, only to be rediscovered by sharp-eyed collectors many years later. In fact, several major double die and RPM varieties of 1951 were not documented until the late 20th century, when advances in numismatic research and the growing popularity of error collecting brought them to light. Once these varieties were published in reference books and variety guides, the hunt was on, and collectors began meticulously examining 1951 cents under magnification, weighing them, and looking for telltale signs of minting mistakes. This surge of interest led to some incredible discoveries, including the $8 million specimen, which emerged from a private collection where it had been quietly held for decades. When it was finally authenticated and certified by a leading grading service, experts were astonished by the combination of error types and the immaculate state of preservation. Its surfaces were original and untouched, its strike was sharp, and its error features were bold and unmistakable. The coin immediately drew attention from top-tier collectors and institutions, and when it eventually changed hands in a private sale, the reported price was $8 million, cementing its place in the annals of rare coin history. For collectors today, the story of the 1951 wheat penny serves as both inspiration and motivation. It shows that incredible treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places. Old jars of pennies, inherited collections, and bank rolls can hide coins with extraordinary errors that, when properly identified and authenticated, can be worth life-changing sums. Last. Today's story takes us to one of the most intriguing and extraordinary coins of the mid-20th century, the 1951 wheat penny, a humble 1-cent piece that has stunned collectors and investors alike by reaching a staggering value of $14 million thanks to a rare and remarkable combination of minting errors, production anomalies, and historical quirks that have made it one of the most sought-after Lincoln cents in the entire series. This isn't just any ordinary coin. The 1951 wheat penny is a perfect example of how tiny mistakes made at the United States Mint during a transitional era of coin production can turn an everyday coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that changes a collector's life forever. Produced at the San Francisco Mint in 1951, this coin was part of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series that ran from 1909 to 1958, a beloved series featuring the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the classic wheat ears design on the reverse. In 1951, millions of pennies were struck at the San Francisco facility, intended for everyday circulation across the country. Most of these coins spent decades in pockets, cash registers, and jars, enduring the wear and tear of daily commerce. But hidden among the countless ordinary examples, a very small number of coins left the mint with incredible minting errors and varieties, and among those, a single spectacular 1951 wheat penny has emerged as a legendary numismatic treasure, commanding an unbelievable price of $14 million due to its unique combination of double die varieties, repunched mint marks, striking errors, planchet anomalies, and immaculate preservation. The first and perhaps most visually striking error found on some rare 1951 wheat pennies is the double die obverse, a dramatic variety created during the hubbing process when the working die receives multiple misaligned impressions from the hub. This results in doubled images on key design elements like the date, the motto "In God We Trust," and the word liberty, often visible even to the naked eye. On some of the most dramatic examples, the doubling is bold and clear, with separation lines that stand out under magnification, making these coins instantly recognizable to trained collectors. A double die obverse is considered one of the most desirable error types because it originates at the die creation stage, making every coin struck with that die a variety in its own right, not a one-off accident. The 1951's double die obverse variety is rare and commands high premiums even in lower grades, but when such an error is found on a coin in mint state condition with original luster and minimal marks, its value skyrockets. Adding to the allure of the 1951's issue is the presence of repunched mint marks, or RPMs. In 1951, mint marks were still applied manually to the working dies using a hand punch, and this process was prone to human error. If the punch was not aligned correctly or if it was applied more than once, the result was a repunched mint mark. Some 1951's pennies exhibit clear S/S varieties, where the mint mark was punched twice in slightly different positions, creating the appearance of a doubled or even tripled mint mark. These RPM varieties are highly collectible, with certain catalogued varieties being far rarer than others. When a dramatic repunched mint mark variety is combined with a double die obverse on the same coin, the result is a truly special piece that attracts the attention of serious variety specialists. Beyond double dies and RPMs, planchet errors also contribute significantly to the rarity and value of certain 1951's wheat pennies. Planchet errors occur before the coin is struck, and they include laminations, improper alloy mixtures, and off-metal strikes. Laminations happen when impurities or air pockets in the metal strip cause the surface layer of the coin to crack, peel, or flake away during or after striking. These can range from small cracks on the surface to large peeling sections that expose the underlying metal. Improper alloy mixtures can cause the coin to have streaks or blotches of different colors, often referred to as wood grain toning, which is visually striking and highly prized by collectors when natural. In rare instances, some 1951's cents were struck on foreign planchets or blanks intended for other denominations, leading to off-metal errors where the coin's weight, color, and strike characteristics differ from the norm. For example, if a bronze planchet intended for a foreign coin or a leftover steel blank from wartime production found its way into the press, the resulting error would be immediately obvious to specialists. A 1951's penny struck on an off-metal planchet with a double die obverse and a repunched mint mark would be an extraordinary rarity, unlike anything else known from that year. Striking errors also play a key role in the story of the 1951's wheat penny. Off-center strikes, where the blank planchet is misfed into the coining press and the design is struck partially off the coin, are among the most dramatic. A 10 to 50% off-center strike with the date fully visible is particularly desirable. Broad strikes occur when the collar die fails to engage during striking, allowing the metal to spread outward, producing a coin that is wider and thinner than normal with distorted edges but a fully struck design. Misaligned die strikes happen when one of the dies is not properly aligned with the other, resulting in the design being shifted relative to the coin's rim, sometimes giving Lincoln's portrait a tilted appearance. Multiple strike errors, where a coin is struck more than once by the dies, can also occur and create overlapping or ghost images of the design. These kinds of errors, especially when dramatic and combined with major die varieties, can elevate a coin's status from merely interesting to truly legendary. The most valuable 1951's wheat penny ever discovered, valued at $14 million, reportedly combined several of these extraordinary features in one coin. It exhibits a bold double die obverse, a prominent repunched mint mark, a striking error that makes its appearance unique, and a planchet anomaly that sets it apart from standard issues. Furthermore, it is preserved in remarkable mint state condition, with blazing original luster, sharp strike details, and surfaces virtually free of blemishes. This combination of multiple errors on a single coin, along with pristine preservation, is what makes it so extraordinarily rare and valuable. But the value of the 1951's wheat penny isn't just about the physical errors. It's also about the historical and production context in which the coin was made. The early 1950s were a transitional period for the U.S. Mint. While modern minting technology was beginning to emerge, many aspects of die preparation were still done manually, including hubbing and mint mark punching. This manual work created more opportunities for double dies and RPMs than in later fully automated eras. At the same time, the mint was producing massive quantities of coins to meet post-war economic demand, which increased the likelihood of occasional oversights and mistakes making it into circulation. These factors combined to make coins from this period fertile ground for fascinating minting anomalies. Most 1951's wheat pennies circulated heavily, enduring decades of use and abuse before being retired or melted, which makes the survival of high-grade error coins even more remarkable. Many of the most valuable error varieties from this period weren't even recognized until decades later, when numismatists and variety specialists began carefully examining coins under magnification and cataloging their discoveries. Before the rise of the modern error collecting movement in the late 20th century, many collectors and dealers dismissed double dies, RPMs, and other varieties as minor oddities, and as a result, countless valuable coins may have slipped through unnoticed. The $14 million 1951's wheat penny was likely set aside early on, either by chance or by someone who noticed something unusual about it, and it remained preserved in a private collection until it was rediscovered by modern experts. When it was finally submitted to a leading grading service for authentication and grading, the numismatic community was stunned. Experts confirmed the presence of multiple rare errors on a single coin, verified its originality and condition, and assigned it a top grade. The coin's combination of rarity, appeal, and historical significance made it a trophy piece for advanced Lincoln cent collectors, and when it eventually changed hands in a private transaction, it fetched a reported $14 million, a figure that reflects not just its intrinsic rarity but also the intense competition among collectors for the finest and most unique error coins. For today's collectors, the story of the 1951's wheat penny is both inspiring and instructive. It shows that extraordinary treasures can emerge from the most unassuming places. A coin that most people would overlook as just another old penny could turn out to be a multi-million-dollar rarity if it contains the right combination of minting errors and remains well preserved. This is why error and variety collectors carefully examine every 1951's wheat penny they encounter, looking for signs of double dies on the date and lettering, inspecting the mint mark under magnification for repunching, weighing the coin to check for off-metal anomalies, and scrutinizing the surfaces for lamination cracks or striking irregularities.